Well, during last week's preview video, we talked about the dark cloud that was hanging over this football program. That dark cloud, of course, was the long conference losing streak. And that ended, obviously, with their win in Corvallis. But I kind of contest here that while that win was great and much needed for this program, if they play like they did at Oregon State last week in these final 5 games, ranked as the second most difficult remaining schedule by ESPN nationally, they might not notch another conference victory.
Yeah, obviously no dark clouds out here anymore, but I think, it's hard to judge a game like that and say that that's how they're going to play the rest of the season. I think kind of both teams get into an ugly game and it kind of just becomes that chop it up type of style of game. And I think it's hard to say, oh, well, that's kind of a good predictor of how they'll play throughout the rest of the season. I look at it on the other side, the more optimistic side maybe, and say this was a huge confidence booster for this team. They get that monkey off their back. And we saw Sefo Lufau come into the press conference yesterday, and I don't know, I wouldn't say he doesn't like talking to us, but I will say that it might not be his favorite part of the week. And he had an extra little pep in his step, a little more inflection in his voice. He was smiling. He was kind of having fun. And I think that's a good indicator of where the mindset of this team is right now. They're feeling a little free. They feel like they're, a little more loose out here. And you think that would translate to them playing a little more freely, just going out there and having fun, as opposed to feeling so tight and feeling like there's this big pressure on them to go out and break that streak.
Yeah, I think there's no question their mindset's better than it has been in a while. Now, talent's talent, and that's what's going to win these football games. The most pessimistic CU fans are probably writing off these last 5 games, saying they got no chance. The most optimistic fans, you said you're kind of more on the optimistic side. The really optimistic CU fans are probably saying, okay, what do we need to do to get bowl eligible? That might be kind of a stretch. Where should the realistic CU fans kind of fall in with these 5 games remaining?
Yeah, I think, it's obvious. They're playing the top half of the conference. Literally, they're playing the top half of the conference in these last 5 games, and they haven't really been able to compete with those type of teams so far. So it's tough to look at that and say they're going to be able to go 3-2 and get to a bowl game. But I think, the realistic fans should be looking at this and hoping that maybe they can come through here and just pull off one upset and kind of, get that signature win for Mike McIntyre, get that another monkey off their back, kind of another step forward in the right direction. It seems like back in the day, CU was able to kind of pull off an upset every year, and now it's been a long time since they got one of those. They've got another long losing streak against top 25 teams, 19 games in a row against teams ranked in the top 25. Well, there's another one they can get off their back, possibly throughout the rest of this season. Don't look at the bowl game and don't be the one who says, oh, they're done. Just hope for getting that one more win, getting one more monkey off their back, getting one more step in the right direction. I think that would end up leaving a good taste in people's mouth for the rest of this season.
Jim Leavitt, Colorado's defense coordinator, has talked this week about the fact that Josh Rosen is probably the best quarterback that they faced so far this season. And Mike McIntyre kind of echoed those sentiments at his press conference. Edward Lewis, our UCLA publisher, is high on Josh Rosen as anybody, and he thinks he's the best quarterback in the Pac-12 right now. I'm not sure if I'm ready to quite buy into that. Yeah,
Ed is a great reporter, and I wouldn't call him a biased reporter, but he loves him some Josh Rosen. I swear he's been telling me about how good Josh Rosen was going to be since Josh Rosen was in diapers. Yeah. So I agree with Ed that he might be the most talented quarterback in the Pac-12. But right now, I don't know if I would go as far as to say he's the best quarterback in the Pac-12. He's still made a couple bad decisions here and there. He's had a couple off games that cost them a couple of victories. But man, he's easily the best guy the Buffs have gone against this year. And if they're not sound in the secondary, if there's wide open receivers, he's going to find them and he's going to hit them in the numbers. So the Buffs definitely have their handful trying to stop him this week.
The Buffaloes do rank 4th in the conference in pass defense right now, but Ryan, I don't feel like that group has truly been tested this season. Of course, Mike Bercovici had a big game against Colorado, and I guess was a test on some level. We expected Anu Solomon to kind of be that test for Colorado, but it didn't really work out that way. So that group is the group I'm going to put the spotlight on, that secondary. Jared Bell expected to play again this week with Ryan Muller still recovering from that moped accident. That group as a whole has really got to step up. Guys like Kenneth Crawley and Akella Witherspoon have played up and down this season, and sometimes they've left plays out there for the other team that the other team hasn't taken advantage of. I think Josh Rosen in this UCLA offense will take advantage of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they have to lock down there. And another thing they need to do is rush the passer. And that's kind of where I like to put my spotlight, is on a guy who does a little bit of both, Chidobe Awuzie. He basically has been the entire pass rush with the sacks he's racked up. He's looking to become the first player in a long time to have a sack in 4 consecutive games. He's on his way to becoming the all-time leader in sacks by a Colorado defensive back. And Jim Leavitt has done a great job of being creative with when he sends Cheeto. And once Cheeto gets back there, he's really the only guy I trust to make the play and not kind of let the quarterback slip out of his arms. So he's going to be huge rushing Josh Rosen and getting some pressure on him. And conversely, he's going to be huge defending, whoever they decide to put him on out there. Across the board, UCLA has great receivers and, a lot of talent out there. And like we said, if they're wide open, Josh Rosen will find them. So it's going to have to be one of Cheeto's best games, and he's played a lot of really good ones so far. But I think for the Buffs to have success, they're going to have to create turnovers. They're going to have to get some sacks back there. And if there's one player who can do it, it's Cheeto.
Colorado has this tradition. One player brings out the toolbox. One player brings out the Colorado flag. One player brings out the hammer for the best hit the previous week. I feel like I joked after the Oregon State game that Chidobe Awuzie should carry out all 3 for this game. He was really the key in that Oregon State victory. Everyone watching it, they're Colorado fans. They're diehard Colorado fans. They appreciate what Chidobe Awuzie's done during his career here in Boulder. But outside of Colorado, I feel like he's not really known. It seems like he might be the most underrated player in this conference.
Yeah, he's not known now, but I think those people will know his name when he's playing for their favorite NFL squad on Sundays, because he has everything you need to be a successful player in the NFL. He's got the size, he's got the speed, he's got the athleticism, he's got the strength. And he can go anywhere. They love to shuffle guys around in the NFL, and he can really do that. He can play safety, he can play corner, he can play nickel. Scouts are going to love that athleticism. So he might not be getting the accolades he deserves right now, but especially next year and moving on in his career, he is absolutely going to be noticed by people because he really has it all.
Colorado ranks last in the conference in run defense. UCLA has also struggled in that area, and part of that's been the fact that they've had so many injuries on their defense. They're giving up more than 200 yards per game on the ground. We spotlighted Phillip Lindsay a lot in these preview videos. I feel like we had to kind of go away from that at least for 1 week, but he's another guy again this week that could really step up. Sefo Lufau carried the ball, was it 18 times against Oregon State?
18 times, yeah. Closest person behind him was 9.
Yeah. We hear Mike McIntyre talk about how they like to utilize Sefo as a runner now that he's healthier, because it opens up some things in terms of the run-pass option, especially in those short yard situations. I'd assume you don't want to see Sefo Lufau carrying the ball 18 times the rest of the season. Would you be okay if he carries it about 8 to 10 times?
Yeah, 8 to 10 is the range you kind of want to be in there. 18 is like something out of a triple option offense. That's ridiculous. And when you watch that game, it was basically, if we have short yardage, we're just going to run that Sefo QB trap. And it was successful, so you kind of understand why they wanted to go back to it. But you got to be careful there, because really the gap between Sefo and the people behind him is that large that you really cannot afford to lose him. And he loves to drop that right shoulder that he injured when he goes out there and runs. So it's a little bit of a stressful situation every time you see him carry the ball, because he just has so much passion and grit, and he doesn't want to be the quarterback who slides down. So you want to dial him back a little bit just to make sure you can keep him healthy. If he's rushing the ball 18 times a game for the rest of the season, he will not finish this season. So they got to be a little more careful there, but they had some success with that QB trap down on the goal line. I don't have a problem with them trying to continue to use that, and maybe in a couple of the short yardage situations, but 8 to 10, not 17 or 18.
Since Mike McIntyre arrived here, they've played UCLA tough. Last year, double overtime. And in his first year, they really battled UCLA. I think the final score wasn't really indicative of how close that football game was. That was kind of Sefo Lufau's coming out party in terms of a leader and a tough guy out there on the football field. This is the first time they're facing Josh Rosen, and I think you can't really pick Colorado to win this game in good conscience. I'm going to say the Buffaloes hang tight with the Bruins for a while, keep it close with the Bruins kind of breaking away late. Let's say UCLA wins this football game 38 to Colorado 21.
Yeah, I think Mike McIntyre does kind of have their number a little bit, have Jim Moore's number a little bit. Even going back to and just UCLA as a whole, even going back to his days at San Jose State, in his last year there, they played him and only lost by 10. So I think you can kind of look at that situation as a much more slimmed down version of the way that Todd Graham kind of has Mike McIntyre's number. That being said, it comes down to the talent. It comes down to the Jimmies and Joes. And so, like you said, it's hard to pick Colorado to win this game. I think they hang in there a little while as well. And I also agree with that 17-point difference. I see it kind of playing out with UCLA pulling away in the same sort of sense that, Oregon or in Arizona did. So I see this game finishing with 41 UCLA, Colorado 24.
Okay. You're heading out to the Rose Bowl to cover the game. Your first time out there?
Yes, I'm excited. I'm excited to see that historical venue, and it's never bad to go down to Southern California.
Yeah, just for you and any other Colorado fans going out to the game, get out there early to the Rose Bowl. Avoid that LA traffic. I've gotten stuck in that before. It's no fun. Anyways, that's it for this preview video. We'll see if Colorado can take some of the positive momentum they gained in that Oregon State game out in Pasadena this Saturday.